right, guys, welcome back to Athlete Builder. I'm Jim Beebe. I got Lucas Loring here, my teammate. Lucky to have on our guest today, Kenny Bigbee Jr. He's on location. He's on assignment down in the Dominican, 75 degrees and sunny, 1 hour ahead. We're home in Indiana where it's 39 and rainy. But Kenny Bigbee, lots going on with him. Not sure where to even start. International Firearms and Combatives Instructor. Owns 5 different martial arts affiliates dealing in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, wrestling, strength and conditioning. Corporate speaker, motivational speaker, former Navy SEAL. Look on his site, he's endorsed by FBI chiefs. Very storied history. Been around a lot, worked with a lot of folks, had a lot of successes physically, a lot of successes coaching other people. He's even referenced in David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. I want to start off with that. It says, Kenny Bigbee, thanks for being the other black guy at Bud's. Your sense of humor was always right on time. Stay hard, brother.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what he says right there in the book.
I wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah, it says it right there at the end. I'm like, I highlighted it. I'm like, hey, look at this. All right.
My man. Yo.
Yeah. And I met, Ken, I don't know if you recall, before I opened Unbreakable Athletics in 2013, was newer in the Plainfield area. I'm going around talking to some different business owners, and I saw your place, and I just kind of walked in.
Yeah.
And that's where I met you in 2012. And I was reading David's book a few years back. I'm like, you mentioned Kenny Bigbee. I'm like, I think it's the same guy. So, yeah, it turns out it is. When I met you, I think, how long have you been running Dragonfly in Plainfield?
In Plainfield, I had started in 2008, but I was actually in the back of a dance school. 2010s when I was at the location that you dojo stormed.
Right.
And told me you're going to kick my ass.
Nah, not true. So I come in there and, you introduce yourself, and there's this dude, he's Jack, right? Walking down, and he's very calm and relaxed. And I said, Navy SEAL. I said, were you a SEAL? He said, yeah, sure was. I said, really? And you pull out this picture. I don't remember. I want to make sure I get the story right, but, Kenny's African-American, and in the picture, he's almost blue. Because,
yeah.
Because, during their Hell Week, it gets a little cold in the water. And things weren't going so well, so they had to, if I remember the story, now correct me, I think they stuck you in the back of a vehicle and they had to heat you up.
Your memory is good as hell.
Right? And then here comes the fun part. How do they heat you up, Kenny?
Oh, well, man. So you're asking for the juicy bits of the story, man, huh?
We're just getting right into it.
Oh, God, we're going to start off. Okay, for sure. No date, no wine, just straight to the bedroom. Okay,
right.
I see.
Right in.
All right, yeah. So essentially, they had us on a log with a bunch of people that were literally, their country had them go through SEAL training, and they had already been through some special operations training, and they didn't want to be there. And we were doing log PT. That log is about 200 pounds, and I believe it was a 2-hour log PT. I think it was around Wednesday of Hell Week, which is 120 continuous hours with 4 hours of sleep. So that's 5 days, and they're pushing you the whole time.
Right.
We were on Wednesday, so that's maybe the midway point. You start on Sunday. And we were doing a 2-hour log PT. I'm not sure they're cleared to do a 2-hour one, but they did.
Sure.
And me and my guy were the only 2 dudes on the log. So it's about 200 pounds. If each man, it's about eight guys on the log. If each man's carrying the log, maybe it's around 20, 30 pounds, right?
Right.
They weren't carrying the log. They were faking it. They were ghost carrying it, right?
Sure.
And me and my guy were doing all the work. So he would get on one end, and I would get on the other end, and we were trying it. We're running around for 2 hours over 20-foot berms and soft sand, and it gets waterlogged. It's heavier.
Sure.
And we're like, bro, this thing, that's 100 pounds a piece plus for 2 hours. So about halfway through, we're like, bro, we got to figure this out. Let's get on the same end of the log because these dudes aren't carrying their weight. So we get on the same end. Then the log goes in a circle because we're on this end, and it starts. So we couldn't run over the berm and back and start running in circles. We're like, that's not working. So needless to say, what I used to do, because you shake so much to stay warm. This is getting to your story here. You shake so much to stay warm, your body autonomically. But I didn't have any body fat, so I shook more than normal. So I used to have to hide fruit in the sand. So when my blood sugar would get low, because I used all my calories from shaking and the exercise, I would go eat the orange. I would take it out of the sand, eat it, get my blood sugar back up, and then be able to to shake a little bit longer. Well, this day, because we burnt all that wattage carrying this damn log and the other guys weren't putting out, I used it all up.
Yep.
And the extra resource that I hid in the sand. So we went to the chow hall and my blood sugar just tanked and I just started talking shit. I literally walked up to one of the instructors like, hey, motherfucker. And I'm like, Bigbee, get back in line. I was like, nah, motherfucker. I'm sorry, bro. Wasn't making any kind of damn sense.
Right.
And they're like, what? I'm like, Bigbee, this is in Buzz, bro. Talking to her. Like, get the fuck back in line. I'm like, no, motherfucker, I just told you I'm sorry. So then they're like, Becker. That was the officer in charge. Like, come get your guy. Come get Bigbee. He's like, Bigbee, he's from Boston, I forget. He's like, Bigbee. I slapped his hand off my. It's like, motherfucker, I told these motherfuckers I'm sorry. Get the fuck off me, man. I'm sorry, bro. Shit. I'm not. So then finally, there's a guy that's on YouTube. I'll never forget him. Petty Officer McClendon. And he's on YouTube. If you look at Class 224, he's a guy. There's actually a guy that's kind of going out because he went under and was going out, and he resuscitates. He goes, come back to the light, and slaps his face. That guy ran by me and grabbed me and goes, he's dying. My body temperature, because I couldn't shake enough, had dropped below. I think once you start to get around 88 degrees or something, you start to descend.
Right.
So I remember waking up. I just remember he's dying, and I blacked out, and he grabbed me. And I woke up in the back of the truck, and there was another Hispanic BUD/S instructor, which is very rare. And he turned around, and he's like, yo, Holmes, we thought we lost you, bro. We need you to stick around, Biggs. And I'm like, fuck is going on? How'd I get up in the back of this truck? You got a really good man. I can't believe you remembered it. So then I passed out again. And then I woke up, and I saw two pairs of feet and the tail end of the truck. And I was like, what are those feet doing? Those boots. Then I saw some pants. I was like, those pants are around somebody's ankles, man. What the fuck? I was like, those are my motherfucking legs. And I felt hands on me. I was like, I started fighting. All right, Biggs, calm down. We're checking your core temperature. You got to check. You got to do a oil check to check the core temperature. Make sure you're good to go.
Right.
And the joke is,
that's in the back end.
They have one hand on you. They're checking your core temperature. If they have both hands on you, then
right. It's not
the wrong kind of tailgate party. So I had a bad tailgating experience. Needless to say, I don't tailgate anymore. So that's how they warm me up. They put me in a truck. They turn the heat up.
Right.
Make sure your core temperature is at the right temperature. And they're like, get back out that fucking cold water. So that's what we did and kept it moving.
Dang.
Yeah, right back in the water, huh?
Yeah, right back to it.
Right back.
Yeah. Right. Shrinkage and stuff didn't change, but that they couldn't fix that. So whatever.
Dang. When people don't understand what the word severe means until they start hearing stories like that, and they're like, oh, so they think they're putting out and they're really not even close there yet. Oh, that's a good story to start off with. Help fill in the gaps, from, hey, this is what I played in high school. This is my athletic background.
Yeah.
Here's why I joined the Navy, and take us up through your time at BUD/S a little bit. Just give us a little once over, like, how things evolve.
Sure. I'd like to, first of all, I want to say grateful to be here with you, Jim and Lucas. This is an awesome opportunity. You guys are doing badass work. I'm here, and it looks like now you're scaling up and going as high, the sky's the limit, into the stratosphere and beyond. So grateful to be here, and couldn't ask to be with any two better guys. So to answer your question, and also for the people that are listening, you guys are awesome. I'm sure they appreciate your support. I appreciate your support. We wouldn't be here without you all. You all are what make us great, and this is why we do what we do. So to answer your question, high school. I went to North Central High School. I had a nickname. I've had several nicknames, so probably as we go through this podcast, you'll get a delineation of my nicknames as my identity, as people discovered my identity. I'm the same motherfucker, but they just didn't know. So back then it was Bruce Leroy, Karate Kenny. I was into the martial arts, and they called me Monk Boy because I barely had any girlfriends. I was like dialed in, bro. So I went to North Central High School. I was focused on martial arts. My father was a guardian angel. So I don't know if you know who those guys are. Some people consider them heroes. Some people consider them vigilantes. Those are guys with red berets that walk around on the streets of New York and the subways of New York. And if they see a crime, somebody takes a woman's purse and whips out a knife, they come up empty-handed and just scrap on that motherfucker and then handle the situation till the cops come. So back in the day, there was a show Cops. Every once in a while, you'd see the cops come up, and these guys would still be going ham, and the cops would be like, all right, that's enough. We got it from here. So the guy
Dang.
Curtis that started it, he came from New York, brought it to Indianapolis, and then my father looked at my mom, was like, "Hey, can I just go check those guys out?" And then he came back, and she was like, "You joined, didn't you?" And he was like, "Yep." My dad's the real fucking daredevil, so I grew up watching him do martial arts, and I wanted to be just like my dad, and that's what really got me into the martial arts because I used to see him apply it on the street, no refs, no rules. Sometimes he came home the winner, and sometimes he came home with some damage.
Sure.
And he'd be like, "You should have seen the other guy." So that was my hero, and that's what started me in martial arts in high school.
I saw that on your bio about guardian angel, and I thought, is that just a metaphor? Like, there's some person that helps out people? So that's a real legit deal, line of work for some. How do you pay the bills from that, right? Because it's volunteer work.
I have a very interesting, enigmatic life as an African American. My mother is a world-class opera singer. She literally flew around the world, knows all these languages, sings in all these other languages.
Dang.
My father is a daredevil, does stuff like that. He literally, I remember just the other day, I asked him, I said, "Hey, Dad, did you have a silver 357 with a wooden handle?" He goes, "Yeah, why, son?" I was like, "Do you remember when my friend's dad called and he's the Harley biker? He called you because he went away on vacation. He came home and the door was open. He thought some people were in there and he called you to go check it out." I was like, he's like, "Yeah, I remember that." I was like, "I remember you pulled out this 357, looked at him, looked at me. I was about 8." And he goes, "Wait here," and just went in the house. I was like, "Did you do that to build my confidence and my courage?" He's like, "Nah, son, I just didn't have anybody watch you. And I was going to kick those guys' ass." I'm like, "Dude, you're fucking crazy. This is my dad, bro." That's how they used to make men, bro. So, yeah, if you could look up those guys, you can literally YouTube it. Curtis is the guy that started it. I think he's starting to run for political office or something. There's mixed, literally like superheroes. Some people think like Spider-Man. Sometimes they like him. Sometimes they thinks he's a villain. Some people love him. Some people think they're vigilantes. They're still on the streets of New York to this day. And the guy brought a chapter here. And my dad had the courage. He would have been 10 times the man or the SEAL that I would have been. Like I tell people, I'm literally scared of fucking everything. I'm just crazy enough to not like that I'm scared. So I do it even while I'm shitting my pants. But he's actually not scared. I took him rappelling. And this guy, I say, "Okay, Dad, I'm checking with the guys like, hey, is the fucking harness and the carabiners, is everything good?" And I said, "So, Dad, when he just went, fuck." I'm like, "Dude," because I'm cool with the rappelling, but the guy, there's always human error. You might go and he didn't do something right and you could fall. I was like, "Hey, so you could check." He just fucking jumps. He's crazy. So,
all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, all gas, no brakes. Yeah, that's my dad. So yeah, you could literally YouTube him. That I was fortunate enough to have that hero in my life. So yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's
real,
awesome.
Real deal.
That's great. So martial arts growing up, and then you turn 18. Is that when you enlisted?
That was a long story. Obviously, I take everything to the hilt. I hate mediocrity, and I believe you all are the same way. There's balance, but excellence requires you to step outside the norms of mediocrity. And I always wanted to be a ninja. I tell this story. You're a kid. When we were growing up, there was like Kung Fu theater on Saturdays, and I saw these ninja. I'm like, I want to be a ninja.
I watched that show.
You feel me?
Oh yeah.
Right. And it wasn't relevant anymore. So I looked for the next best thing. And I went to all the recruiters and was trying to find a job that would let me do that. And I got to the one, if I was to do a commercial for the Navy, they didn't word it like this, but this is what kind of resonated with me if I was to articulate it. Hey, and with these guys, you're going to do the most daring thing, the most difficult thing, and the most life-defying, dangerous thing you've ever done in your life. You want to sign up? There was no YouTube. There was nothing else.
Right.
They didn't articulate it like that, but basically, and I saw a poster, and Goggins said he saw the same poster. I have it. I still have that poster, and I hung it up. It was a guy coming out the water with a mask, and he had just come out of the water, and it says, "This most valuable player will never get the MVP because you're never going to know what he does."
Right.
So the way we say it in the SEAL teams, everybody wants to wear the cape, but no one wants to wear the mask. So these are badass dudes, and you go home to your wife. In that community, it's a 90% divorce rate because it's hard on families, right? These guys sacrifice everything. And they're like, "Hey, what'd you do today?" He's like, "Oh, nothing." Never mind that you jumped out of a plane, a perfectly good plane, and blew some shit up and maybe some some bad individuals up, and then, you know what I mean?
Right.
Had some secret shit that you had, and then you just come up, how was your day? As a normal run-of-the-mill day. They can't talk about it, right?
Sure.
So I saw that with no evidence, and you hear about Hell Week, but you don't know what that is. You just know it's the toughest military training in the world. I'm like, the most death-defying, daring, and dangerous thing in the world, difficult thing? Yeah, sign me up for that. So I picked that unit, and off I went, but I had a few challenges along the way.
How long was basic, and where was that? Was that up in Illinois?
It was Navy, and it's a running joke. The Navy's excellent. I told this joke before, and they say Navy stands for Never Again Volunteer Yourself. Not true. It's really a badass organization. I'm too ADD to be sitting still on a boat.
Right.
I'm just not built for it, right? I got to be jumping out. Put me on a good plane. I want to jump out. Hey, I need to be around guys like that, right? So I think boot camp is maybe 3 months. I was more stressed out in boot camp than I was in Buzz.
Too much sitting around time?
It's a totally different mental archetype, and you need different personality archetypes to do different jobs.
You're
And
right.
now I wish it was that way. Now I believe, and I don't know because I'm not in. I literally just had a guy call me last night, man, and he's going through Buds right now, and he checked in with me literally last night, man. I'm out here in the Dominican. I'm like, yo, bro, how's it going? He's like, hey, I want to tell you, I classed up. I'm going through. Now I think they have a separate boot camp experience for the guys that are going on that pathway.
Gotcha.
When I went through, you went through regular Navy boot camp. And man, I found a way. You eat 3 times a day. I found a chit and found a way in the system to eat 6 times a day, and I still lost about 15 pounds just from the stress of being in the wrong. And imagine not being able to work out and be around, bro. When you get injured as an athlete, it's the worst thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was that experience. They made priorities like folding your skivvies, which are your underwear. I'm like, why the fuck are we calling these skivvies? I don't give a fuck about skivvies. Want to blow something up. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that I lost 15 pounds in those 3 months and didn't look like the same person. That was more stress for me than Buzz.
For a lot of folks in like managers at work or officers in the military, they're trying to make sure that the new folks can do the small tasks well so they can entrust them with more advanced tasks, right?
Yeah.
And then camaraderie, discipline, teamwork, all that jazz.
Yeah.
Once you finish basic, though, there's also another gap between there and Buds, right?
There
a couple
is.
weeks.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
You go to ITA school, and this is what I want to say about the Navy. Another SEAL and I were talking. That's one of the most sophisticated organizations, just the military in general. Joe Rogan was talking about this once, and he said that's actually one of the hardest places to qualify for, even just the regular military. For college, you don't have to do physical standard requirements just to gain entry,
Sure.
right? So you have to have aptitude scores. You have to have physical readiness scores. It's actually, your feet can't be flat. I mean, they got everything, your eyes, right? So you have to have all these requirements. And in a very short amount of time, in 3 months, they take people from anywhere in the nation and they totally make them into a well-oiled machine. So what I want to say, that boot camp changed everybody, different, genders, races, economic standards, and we became a well-oiled machine, a band of brothers and sisters that were able to kick ass. So I want to give props to that. I always joke around and say crass stuff, but that was a badass organization. From there, you go to ITA school, or you go to an A school. An A school is, you go to a school because the attrition rate for the SEAL teams is 70%. So if 100 people go in, like my guy just hit me, said we classed it with 260, maybe there's 220 now, right? When I went through about 150 guys max will go in, or 100, and you come out with 30 guys. So the probabilities are that you're not going to make it. So they send you to a school in case you don't make it so that you can still serve your country and serve your Navy. So I went to ITA school. I got accelerated advancement there. I saw a guy that I was missing 1 question per test. And then I saw this guy that got perfects, and I was like, I'm never going to miss a question on a test ever fucking again. So then I got all perfects all the way throughout, and I started helping my teacher to actually instruct. And then I graduated with accelerated honors and advancement. And they asked me if I wanted to go to a C school, which you go more in depth. I'm like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm going to Buds, basic underwater demolition SEAL, which they told me was impossible because my eyesight didn't meet the requirement. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to find a way. So.
So for those that don't have the eyesight requirements, you can get that surgery, right, to fix it beforehand,
Not
or
when
not,
I was in.
not when you were
That
in. Okay,
wasn't even the thing.
that was
So
okay.
what
So
happened? Oh,
so
go ahead.
then
Sorry.
so then you just can't see very well, and you're just gonna make it happen, I guess.
Nope, not qualified. You're out. So I knew that here. So you asked me what happened. There was something between, and I totally skipped over this, and I'll keep it short.
Sure.
I wanted to go to the SEAL teams after I found out about these crazy motherfuckers that just want to do the most dangerous shit and risk their lives. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. And they're like, yeah, your eyesight doesn't meet the requirement. You have to have 20/40, 20, at least 20/40 in both eyes.
Mhm.
Can't be past that. So I had one eye that had 20/70, I believe. So I was blind, like couldn't see in one eye. And I quit all my jobs and went to LA and became homeless in LA. I was like, I'm gonna go fucking see this shit for myself. I'm gonna find a way in. So I got stuck homeless in LA with my friend who is now the executive producer of Love and Hip Hop, one of the most highly rated reality TV shows. He was like, fuck it, I'm going out there to get famous. He's another ballsy dude that'll just fucking up and go. He just takes immediate action on his dreams. I was like, dude, they told me I couldn't get in. I'm gonna find a fucking way in. I'm going to the source. I'm dropping everything. He hopped in Cali. Well, first he goes, hey, bro. He's like, well, how are we gonna get there? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I just know I'm going. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna find a van. So he went to this pastor of a church. He's like, I got a van. He just sent me this picture. I should have sent it to you guys so we could share it. He just sent me this picture. He had found a picture of that van. He's like, I got a van. I hop in the van. We're driving. We're like, and I'm like, I look down. I'm like, hey, bro. I'm like, what's that? He's like, oh, those are the lines on the road. I'm like, bro, there's no fucking floorboard. I can see the fucking ground.
Through
The
the floor.
floorboard was like rusted out. And I'm like, bro, we can't make it to Cali in this. So I went to my family, and my grandfather was going to let me borrow his van. And he said, don't quit your jobs. Don't do all this. And I looked at him. He was giving me this long spiel because everybody was telling me, the military, my family, my friends, bro, you can't do it. You're not going to make it. I looked at him. He said, now, son, don't quit all your jobs because, it's probably not going to happen. I said, Granddad, I said, if I do exactly what you did in life, I'm going to be sitting in that chair that you're sitting in at your age. I said, do you want me to sit in that chair at your age? He said, here's the key, son. He quit fucking talking to me. So he gave me the van. I went out there. I was supposed to go out there for like a month excursion, and we ended up getting homeless. So I had calculated the gas to get there, pulled up, stopped there. Once we got there, I was like, what do we do now? My home was like, I don't fucking know. And we couldn't work at McDonald's because it was bilingual. And that was before. That's normal now. The ATM say Espanol. This is the first time we had witnessed that. We're like, we tried to apply to like, are you bilingual? I was like, I just want a job, right? So we ended up having to go on a Roseanne Barr TV show and go as the crowd. You could be the audience and clap and applaud, and they give you money for that. And then Roseanne Barr, I ended up breakdancing with Roseanne Barr on TV and all kind of crazy stuff. And long story short, I never ended up running into the SEAL teams. I went back home. I enrolled into the Navy with a 0% chance of becoming a SEAL. And they told me, you got that SEAL stuff out of your blood, right? I was like, nope, I'm going to find a way once I get in. I'll just go in and I'll just figure it out. So while I was in there going through IT school, I had to hide myself in the Navy for 3 months. And I'll explain how I did that if you care to know. But I hid myself in the Navy for 3 months. As you do EMI, extra military instruction, basically cleaning floors, polishing brass, drive me crazy. And then you could be training with the SEALs. And the dude, they put his hands on me. So I threw him in the air while he was still in his desk and he busted his head. So I got in trouble for that. But they knew that the dude was a troublemaker. So I said I was at any one of 3 places. If they asked, I'd say I was over here. If they asked, I'd say I was over here. And I hid. And during that time period, one of the SEAL instructors saw my work ethic, and Lasik came through during that time period. It was not a thing when I went in. So I couldn't even get the SEAL challenge to be optional for it or eligible for it outside of the Navy. I had to go in, and then I had to try to apply. I didn't know how to swim correctly. I saw these dudes doing a side stroke. I saw all the brothers, the Negrito brothers. They weren't doing good, and I was like, "Fuck, that's gonna be me next." I don't know how to do that fucking side stroke shit. So I just imitated it. I literally was just doing it all wrong. And you have to do it in 12 minutes and 30 seconds. I think it's 500 meters. You have to do that stroke. So I crossed the finish line. It was all upper body. I was just kicking my legs, flailing and imitating what I saw the other dudes doing. I crossed the line, and they said, get out the fucking water. You passed, barely, like 12 minutes and 29 seconds. I went to get out the water. I put my hands on the pool deck, and I had used so much upper body strength, I didn't have any, and my arms gave way, and I hit my chin and fell back in the water. Like, get the fuck out of the water, jackass. So I ended up passing that test. They saw my work ethic when I was training with the SEALs while we were going through the A school. You could kind of, now they call it Bud's prep. Now they prep you like you guys do. They have specific training that's dialed in. Now they do all this stuff. It was just, bro, balls to the wall, just figure it out while you're there kind of stuff. So this guy would, and every day, his name, I won't say his name, but every day he would say this: you don't know what you're getting yourself into, slick. He'd always say this. He's like, the pain is temporary, but the regret is forever. He's talking about how do you overcome quitting. He'd always say that. You guys don't know what you're getting yourself into, but I've never forgotten that, which is kind of relevant to the podcast, how you reach peak performance, right? The pain is temporary, but the regret is forever. And the guy saw my grind because I was well prepared other than not knowing how to do the side stroke. I was in great physical condition. The waiver, the eligibility, they were kind of using us as test dummies for Lasik because Lasik came about. So I think there was one where they kind of hooked like a contact lens. I don't know what that's called. There was that version, and then there was Lasik, and they had no long-term studies. So at that time, the Navy chose 2 people per year. And this guy put it in a waiver for me because of my work ethic. It went all the way up the chain of command, came all the way down. Every single day they tell me if I come back to see if I was eligible, that they were going to make sure I didn't become a SEAL because I come bug them. On Thanksgiving Day, that weekend, I got cleared to actually go to Buds. That wasn't a thing. I became 1 or 2 people that was eligible to do that. So I got lucky. It's not balls. I was dumb as hell. I got lucky and showed up and was able to actually become eligible to go to Buds.
Dang. That's when you have to suffer that long for something, later it's a little bit easier to handle those short-term sufferings because you're like, hey, I already put in these 3 months of hiding around. I already did all this other crap. You know, what's one day today?
Yes, sir.
Of not being comfortable. I can handle that because I've already conditioned myself to handle much, much more. Much more. Yeah.
We say it in the tactical world: train hard, fight easy.
Right.
The more you bleed in training, the less you bleed in war. Kind of same mentality. Do you guys have colloquialisms that you guys have like that in the athletic community?
Oh, for sure. Most of the things that are written on the wall in my gym are most likely because I had some kind of mistake before in my life. There's a Latin phrase, 10 minute house game, means know yourself. So you have to know who you are in your identity so you can be authentic and real. And if you're not, then any kind of choices or any communication you have with people won't be authentic and real. It's going to lead you down the wrong path, make mistakes. All battles are won before they're ever fought. That's from Sun Tzu's Art of War. And you apply that in business and training or your relationships, Civilize the mind, but make savage the body by Lao Tzu.
Oh,
right. So you want your mind always sharp because it directs your mind or you direct your body. And also, there's tons of things that we believe in our 6 core values and stuff. You mentioned the side stroke and the swimming, and there is a thing with the brothers, right, where there's different buoyancy.
It's a thing, man.
It's a thing. It's a thing, right? So when you're doing drown proofing, like you guys sink a little more, right?
Yep.
And you're supposed to not be sinking, and it's like you can't not do it, right? Tell me that's a real thing, right?
Man, you know what? I've tried to YouTube. I've tried to look up. I don't know if it's bone density. I have a pretty substantial bone density. I'm heavy for my weight. I'm just heavy, right? Well, it's a little bit different than scale weight. When you tie up with people in jiu-jitsu, you could kind of people feel different when you engage with them, right? When I get in the water and I do 1 stroke, like that guy goes 3 meters, I go 1. I have to do 3 times the effort, man. I gotta put the fuck out, bro.
Right.
You know what I mean? So people standard swim in Buds is 2 miles, right? I have to sprint the whole fucking time. It's miserable. Like they're like, boom, they glide, boom, they look all sexy and shit, doing club dances and shit. You feel me? I'm over here like, for 1 stroke, I got a red line, bro.
That sucks.
And drown proofing, you asked about how did you do that? What I had to do, and this plays into everything we're talking about here, I had to master yogic breathing. So I found this like 1950s yogic book with this lady in these little raggedy tights. And I found that, and they were talking about different yogic breathing, which is now part of the normal culture in the athletic world and the tactical world. And they do different breathing. This one, it wasn't box breathing. You say you breathe in for 3, you'd hold for double that, 6, and then out for 12.
Wow.
And that and swimming are some of the, or maybe 2 of the things that I'm aware of that increase lung capacity.
Right.
So what I did was master pushing the diaphragm all the way down and filling in the lungs, because you breathe like that as a baby, which plays into peak performance. Breathing from the diaphragm and then filling the lungs up. And over time, we learned to breathe through the chest, which is actually anxiety breathing.
Right.
I had to relearn how to do that, expand my lung capacity. So I would go, and then what happened was when I did that, and your hands and feet were tied, and you could kick in a small circle. You couldn't spaz out, but you could do this little thing. You could flutter, you know what I mean? Like a little fairy in the water, and just make a small circle, okay? But you couldn't look like you were uncomfortable. That's the point of it. So I learned how to increase my lung capacity through that breathing about a month before. And when I would do that and kick in a small circle, my nose would breach the water, just my nose. And I could do like that and get my lips above the water. And then I would go, and I would sink. I'd literally watch the water go away when I release the buoyancy and then come back. And then I would do it again. And that allowed me just my nose and lips above the water and my hands and feet tied. But I was negatively buoyant, but when I maximized my lung capacity, that allowed me to get my lips above the water, allowed me to pass that test.
That's awesome. That dovetails perfectly with the episode that dropped last Monday.
Yeah.
With us.
Oh, really?
We had Jesse Coomer on. He's out of Evansville. I've been to his workshop once, and we're putting something else together. He's all in on breathing techniques to change your physiology, cold therapy, hot therapy. So when I did his course, it was ice baths and then almost hyperventilating to learn how to control your breathing, but also lower your stress level. So he's got 2 books out, and that was on the last podcast, and he was talking about the same thing, that everybody breathes shallowly, filling up the top part of their lungs, not very efficient, not very effective. You can learn to train your diaphragm, fill out the bottom part, and then all the way up your lungs, much more impactful. And if you can breathe more nasally when you're training, all the benefits from that as well. So that dovetails exactly with what we were just talking about. You're having to do it simply to survive. And right, you're not trying to score a touchdown. You're just trying to stay alive.
Yep.
Because your hands are tied, your feet are tied, and you're drowning.
Yep.
And you got to stay alive long enough to say, hey, okay, you're not drowning anymore. So that's an awesome reminder. That's great.
Yeah, and it's transcended and permeated everything for peak performance. You know what I mean? Because your body wants to shut down into the sympathetic sides of things. And I tell people in the tactical world, that's one of the quickest ways to change your state to get peak performance is your breath. That's something fully within your locus of control that you can do right now.
Sure.
And then make a physiological and neurological change to start to move towards the direction of peak performance. And the circumstance doesn't matter.
How many centuries have people been saying to their kids, their sons, dads been saying to their sons, and the son comes in and they're all worked up, say, hey kid, hold on, just take a deep breath. Like that alone, take a deep breath. That phrase has been around for centuries for a reason. Here's the actual science behind it. Here's even more to it, but it tells you right then and there that that's a real thing, and it makes a huge impact. So,
it's so true. The colloquial.
Go ahead.
Sorry, my friend. The colloquial, it's like we've lost the technology. They couldn't break it all down because they didn't have the tech to articulate it.
Sure.
But they understood the concept. So you get mad, take 10 deep breaths. It resets the nervous system. So one of the quicker, I tell people in the tactical world, after you do a firearm, you scan. I'm like, what's the purpose of the scan? Well, they're like, well, to see other threats. I'm like, okay. I think it's taught backwards personally. This is my perspective. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, the purpose of the scan is to take you out of the sympathetic nervous system and put you back towards the parasympathetic nervous system.
Right.
And that thus takes away the tunnel vision. That takes away the auditory exclusion. That allows you to perceive the threat versus see the threat. And I ask people, how many times have you been in a rush to go to work and you're looking for your keys and you can't find your keys? And then somebody's like, bro, they're right there. You saw them, you didn't perceive them, which is a change in the frontal cerebral lobe, the neonatal cortex. And I ask, when you get stressed out, that one of the responses is that you have vascular restriction in two primary places people don't talk about, in the gut and in the frontal neonatal cortex. And then why is the brain doing that? So I'm a why person, right? We're getting into peak performance because the frontal neonatal cortex, it's very intelligent, but it moves at about 128 bits per second. That's about the speed that you text. And you've been texting, especially guys, are like, you know what, bro, just fucking call me. I hate this texting shit. It's too slow, right? Just call me, bro. And the subconscious mind moves at 50 million bits per second. It's not intelligent. It just plays recordings, right? But it's fast. So I like to tell people, imagine if somebody broke in your house, right? And you had a pot in your hand and your gun's over there across the room. You're not going to be like, hold on, bad guy, let me go over there and get, and you're, I'm going to go get the pistol and I'll be back and I'll handle business with you. You're not going to do that. You're just going to hit him with what you got and then go get that. That's what your brain's doing. Like, look, I don't have time to think about this. I got to just handle it with whatever I got, either the lack of good training, the lack of experience. I got to take, or excellent training, excellent coaching. For instance, with Lucas and yourself, right? That excellent training is what you fall back on. Those excellent processes are what you fall back on. So it records the processes or the lack thereof. That's on you. Go get with these guys, Jim and Lucas, get good processes, get good training. That's what pops out because it says, I don't have time to figure it out. And then it allows you to do that immediately on the spot. And now what happens is I literally was doing this one day. I was in a rush. I was like, hey, man, I got to go, but I can't fucking find my phone. I can't find my phone. And somebody was like, you're on your phone, right? There was a dude on YouTube, a dude was road raging, right? And he's like, this guy comes up, he's like, get out of the car. And he's like, no, bro. He's like, why don't you go get back in your car? And the dude that was road raging on the side of his car, he goes, no, you get back in your car. And he's like, I'm in my car, dude. And the angry dude was like, okay, that's fair. He's like, so will you go back to your car, dude? And he's like, no. And he went back to rage. So what happens is the frontal cerebral lobe that controls inhibition, all that shuts down and you lose. But that's important. You need those reactions under pressure, when you're catching a pass, when your brain needs to read the scenario subconsciously. But then there's times you need to think. So there's a difference between seeing and reacting. You go from reaction to response, where you now reacting is when the scenario is kind of dictating to you. Response is when you are starting to dictate to the scenario. So you need that reaction to deal with the threat or the immediacy, right? That cut that your subconscious can read that you can't process in real time because the reactionary time gap's 0.35 seconds. You don't have time to process. The subconscious kicks in at 50 million bits per second. And then from there, you got some time to see down the field. You got to wake up the conscious mind and respond. And that's the frontal cerebral lobe. You start breathing different, do a few things different, and now I can process, and now I can make the best play down that field.
I talked to my son, Jack. He plays football, Ball State. I go, dude, you can train your subconscious. He's like, well, I'm telling you, it's not hard. We're trying to teach you a couple breathing techniques. So you're going to learn how to react on this play. You also learn how to analyze it, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to be able to also decide how you're going to feel in that moment. You know, you're going to be able to decide that if you train yourself. I love when people say, I'm just going to do better on game day. I'm like, no, you're just going to default to your level of training, buddy. And whatever processes you have, you're going to use those. Otherwise, you're just going to guess, kind of figure out on the fly. I'd rather have you have all these processes. Whether you're playing in the rain or playing in the cold or playing when you have the flu or you're playing when your girlfriend dumps you, you know. So you need to have all these processes ironed out over and over and over again, refined. And then we're going to start training your subconscious so that when the pressure is on and other people are not able to push those stresses away and focus on the real target, you're going to be just calm and fine. Here's how we're going to do that. So we're working your breathing. We're going to dump you in some cold tubs and work on your breathing there because now you're under stress. Can you still focus? You know, can you read? Can you do these other things? And so, you know, athletes or people in the tactical community or, you know, anyone, it's all learned behavior that you get with the right coach makes the difference between life and death sometimes, or, you know, winning or losing, you know, on the field. The other thing is that when you said, you know, when you're in that close quarter combat, after you get out, after you clear the room, you're scanning, take yourself out of the situation. on a very simple level, I'm watching that new Maverick Top Gun movie, with my
Yeah.
wife, and it's exciting, it's wild. You're all jacked up during the flight scenes and stuff. And my wife, she's all wound up, and she said, "Oh my God, I can't believe what's going to happen next. I can't watch." I go, "If you're that wound up, just look at the exit sign over there." And she goes, "Okay." I go, "Why?" Because now you're out of the situation. You just took yourself out. Right? Just look at the exit sign.
Yep.
Now, if you want to get back in the movie, or you're watching some horror movie and it's too much for it, well, just look over here. Now your focus is there.
Yep.
If you want to look back at the movie theater or the movie screen, then okay, well now you're dialed back in. So you are in control of what your focus does, and then therefore how you're going to choose to feel in those moments.
That's so brilliant because obviously in our realm and in our world, focus is everything.
Yeah.
And we talk about the actual part of the brain, the reticular activating system that extrapolates things out of the environment. And people do this exercise where they're like, hey, look around the room. For instance, behind me, there's the color white. And if I say, look back there and do not notice the color white, short of closing your eyes, you can't. I can say green. Now you can't unsee it. I call that programming your GPS, relating it to my world, our world, right? Now everybody has GPS. We were dealing with them a long time ago before they were in cars. You put the coordinates in that you want, not where you're currently at. Now, here's the thing. Some people are delusional. What's the difference between delusion? You don't accept your current coordinates. In the GPS, you have your current coordinates,
right?
And then you have the coordinates where you want to be. You need both. A delusional person only has the coordinates of where they want to. No, you gotta accept where you're at. And the person that's not really trying to go anywhere or change their behavior, which is the definition of training, is a change of behavior in a positive direction. You got to accept where you're at and then where you want to be. And most people, and when you program that GPS, the subconscious now starts to go to work for you, like you're talking about. So, and like you said, we talked about breathing, and now we're starting to control our inner dialogue. Because hey, notice this, do this. What are you saying here starts to program that reticular activating system, and it subconsciously starts to grab that and extrapolate things from the environment, endogenously, exogenously. And I like to say your mind is like Google. If I put in the ugliest places on the planet, it goes 1 million results for the ugliest places on the planet. It doesn't ask why, it just says 1 million results. If I put in most beautiful places on the planet, it's like in the room with those two studs right there, right? So you thought I was gonna say here, no, this ain't shit compared to y'all. But so it doesn't ask, it just responds. Your mind is like Google. So if I say, fuck, why do I suck so bad? It just answers you. Well, you're not fast enough. You're fucking your hamstrings. If you go, how the fuck can I be better? It just fucking answers you. Get with fucking Jim. Get with fucking Lucas. Let's fucking go. It just answers you. So your mind is like Google. And what you do with that inner dialogue, what you type into that search engine controls your focus.
Sure.
So, hey, this is freaking me out. What about that exit sign? And the most precise way to control your focus is with a question. Because that's how the brain, how do I improve? How can I be the best? Because I ask people this, and we talk about peak performance. There's going to be a point where you run into adversity. And everybody says, find your why. But I articulate somebody asked me the other day, how do you build mental toughness? I'm like, the mind's not tough at all, bro. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, it's not the mind that's tough. And we go back to the colloquialisms. And Goggins talks about it too, but I was saying this on my own discoveries. The mind's not tough. The mind is designed for self-preservation for the most part. It goes, hey man, there's danger over there. Go that way. Hey man, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Fuck, let's go that way. So if you set a goal, man, and it starts to get too hard, the brain's like, I don't think this is working out. Let's cash out. And it's subconscious. And the way that the inner dialogue presents this to you is it says, why in the fuck are we doing this? It asks you that.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have an answer for that why, you quit. The problem is the answer for the why is not mental. They found something called sensory neurites in the heart. It's an intelligence in the heart. And the vagal nerve and the vagal reaction links. It orchestrates the mind and the body. That way, if you get stressed, it speeds up the heart rate. If you chill, it slows it down. So the sensory neurites of the heart have intelligence that communicate with the brain. And you said it best yourself. We have colloquialisms that speak to this technology. If you say that person went far beyond reason, he should have quit. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. It didn't make any sense to keep going, but they kept going. That person has heart. That's what we say.
Right.
We say, you know what? You have two bad choices. We say, follow your gut or your heart. Now they found that there's intelligence that actually reciprocally communicate. The answer is not always the toughness is here. When you want to quit and your brain says, why? This doesn't answer. This answers more. And then we talk about mastery of how you actually, you have to answer your why. And then you have to have why nots. What will be your regrets? So what are your whys? And then what are your why nots? And then you use your inner dialogue, use your brain like Google, plug in the shit that you want. Don't put in a destination you don't fucking want. Accept where you're at. Like you said, if I'm afraid, let me focus on this. Plug in that destination. Your subconscious GPS, you put in the GPS, you just start driving. You chewing bubble gum, talking on the phone shouldn't be, right? Ladies are putting on makeup, right? You're not, the GPS, it runs into an obstacle, it's just rerouting. Your subconscious does that. So if you put into your Google machine, into your GPS, it's constantly making adjustments. You say, man, I want to be the best athlete. You start seeing opportunities to train with Jim, to train with Lucas. You start seeing the best athletes. You say, man, well, I want these red Nikes. You start seeing them everywhere. It's all subconscious, all based upon what you program into your GPS. And it just answers you. And if you do it intentionally, you get to where you want to go. Destination success.
That's articulated so much better than however I say that. So
it's about 8 paragraphs.
When I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of feel hyped to do stuff. To get
Let's
shit
go tear some shit up, Lucas.
I don't know. I just talking about the brain and the GPS and stuff, but listen, I'm kind of like, man, I'm just I'm ready to fuck shit up.
I like it, bro.
When you walk into my gym, Lucas was just there yesterday. You know, on one of the big beams, it says "What is your why?" in big red and black letters. But when I bring in people, so I hear what you're saying about tying your brain down to your why or down to your heart. Here's what that looks like, and here's the process I use because I'm all about process because that's what moves us.
Yes, sir.
And I'll say what I do is I run people what I call the 7 levels of why.
There it is. Yes, sir.
I'll give you one completely you wouldn't think about. This kid comes in here and he's not playing football, basketball, baseball, track. He's in the band. And I'm like, okay, dude, why are you here? And he's there with his kids. With his parents. And he's like, why are you here? He goes, well, I need to be able to hold this tube all day long. I go, okay. Why is that important? Well, it's heavy. I go, yeah, but why is that important? Well, it's 8 to 10 hours sometimes outside in any weather, hot, cold, rain, whatever, and I got to hold that long. I go, okay, I understand it, but why is that important? And he goes, well, there's this camp I go to in the summer over in Pennsylvania. It's half the summer, and I have to do well there. And I go, why? Because, well, if I do well there's actually recruiters that come to that camp. I go, who cares? Why? He goes, Ohio State comes. I go, oh, they have a legit band that's on the field all the time. They, I know when they had the national title game and they won against Miami, the cost of the band was $100,000 just to get in there. So I go, what's the big deal about Ohio State? He goes, if it's one of the few schools that gives scholarships for people in marching band. I go, so? He goes, well, we don't have the money. I go, so you're doing this for your family and your parents and for yourself, your own identity? And he goes, yeah, so I need to get stronger and build my endurance so I can do this, so I can get that. And I was like, that is the why.
Yep.
All the other ones are important. Those smaller ones, those little ones at the top are important, but you get in deep, that's why. And that's, if you can remember all those and have those reminders, you keep reminding your subconscious. What I say is write those down, take a picture, put them on the wall in your bathroom, by your car, and then when you open up your phone, that's your screensaver. You're constantly training your subconscious. So it's easier to keep enduring that pain when you have those reminders. Your brain is like, hey, I don't think I can run that 100-mile race. Like Goggin talked about running these 100-mile races. I'm like, I don't think I can do that. I know I can run 3 miles. So the brain would probably be a little bit more confident saying, hey, I could probably run 4 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
So then you do something else, and maybe you run a 5.5 mile day, and you're like, okay, now you build this confidence. This confidence comes from reps. All right, I did 5.5 last Saturday. I could probably run 7 today. All right, you keep moving that along, so because your brain is, like you said, saying, I don't think I can do that. I don't want to do that right now. Unless there's a gun to my head. So you have to methodically progressively overload them along so that it then catches up. So your heart's pushing you along and your brain's kind of catching up saying, okay, I could probably do that. What's being asked of me once I have enough smaller steps to do that big step, right? Just starting off with a 100-mile race over in, wherever he does it in the desert. I'm like, no, fuck, I'm done. Right?
You and me both, brother. I'm not with it.
Like that's how that all comes together. I had a couple other questions. I'm just really curious about
Please.
This Hell Week alone, right? Each meal's a couple thousand calories, right? If you're coming out of school or high school and you're 18, 19, 20 years old and you're 21 and you're going over to buds, I'm this dork. I'd be like, all right, kid, if someone comes to me, I got to make sure you're proficient at swimming. I got time. We're going to put you in some type of hand-to-hand combat so you can handle yourself there. There's plenty of places where you can go learn how to shoot. You can get certified in scuba. You can get certified in jumping out of an airplane. Why don't we just start checking all these boxes? That way you're so prepared that you have the best shot. You just did martial arts, ran and lifted weights and calisthenics. All right, fuck, I'm going. Right?
There wasn't any information out there. There was no YouTube. It was just, bro, how big are your huevos? Cojones, man. No, what I did do, like you're saying. So you talk about that. Stand on the shoulders of giants, man. You want to be the best. So people ask me, they're like, bro, Navy SEALs are the best. I'm like, nah, bro. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, they get with the best. That's why they're the best. So you do a workup, and I'm getting back to that. A workup is 6 months where you basically like kind of live like a Bond lifestyle. Okay, you might go to race car driving school, then you might go to free fall school. You're jumping out of plane. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty cool, right? But you might be with the best civilians in the world learning how to drive. You get with the best. In order to be the best, you have to get with the best. You got to stand on the shoulders of giants. So the only thing that was available was there was this guy had a book on SEAL prep, push-ups, running, and swimming, which he didn't tell you how to swim. It wasn't videos back then. He just said how much to swim. So, and I would, like you said, I wrote down every day talking about programming my GPS. It has to be in the positive, present, and personal tense. I am a SEAL. I wrote that down. This is where I'm at. These are my current times. I wrote down everything, right? Then I wrote down every day, I am a SEAL. That's the destination I want to be. Your subconscious can't separate it.
Right.
You don't tell the GPS, I want to go there, but really I'll put these coordinates here, somewhere in between. You don't do that. You just put those coordinates. So I kept putting those coordinates and I wrote it down every day like you suggested. And I read it every day. I got that book and I monitored my metrics exactly. So by the time I had gotten done with that, even though there was a lot of, like you said, and I say literally agreeing with you 100% to synergize with you. When I teach firearms courses, I say there are no guarantees. There's only probabilities. You have to accept that as a warrior.
Sure.
And a warrior is not just a Navy SEAL. It's not just a samurai. It's anybody that has a cause that's greater than themselves and a purpose that's greater than themselves, which brings out the best in you, brings out the most in you, right? Like that. Boy, we don't have the money. I want to do this for my family. I tell people, if you find something greater than your fears, greater than your comforts, if you find something greater than your own self-preservation, now you're living. Now you're fired the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I'm willing to die for this. Everybody says that. So people ask me, what's your why? I'm getting to your point. I haven't forgotten. I'm tying up everything together because there's some badass shit you said there. I want to get to that meat and potatoes. I personally needed to know because every man thinks they can fight till they walk in the gym. Every man thinks they're strong till they walk into your gym. Everybody, you know what I mean?
Right.
Men think a lot of themselves. Right? They have to. You got to have some courage. But every man says, he's going to have to kill me. He's going to have to kill me. I'd rather die than I needed to know that. I personally really needed to know that. I couldn't take my own subconscious. So I found the hardest thing that would test that metal. I needed to be specific. I needed to know, was I willing to pay the ultimate price for what I believed in and who I believed in? If I call you a friend and a brother, would I die? Seriously, not figuratively. If I'm going to start a family, would I die? I needed to know that. To me, I don't deserve to be your friend if I'm not willing to pay that price. A lot of people say it. I needed to know it. Then I wrote down my metrics every single day based on that book. That's all I had, right? And every day those metrics would change. I knew my biometrics so well. I knew when you go through SEAL training, your times have to constantly improve. You cannot have the same time. It's got to improve or you get kicked out.
Right.
So we have a saying, the only easy day was fucking day. Don't rest on your laurels, right? I put the fucking part in there because I say that shit a lot. But, sounded good. So anyway.
That's why on Lucas's shirt it says win the day. So when we have these targets, mental targets or getting smarter at your sport or better at nutrition, you're going to have these targets so you have chances to win today.
Yes.
Not just, hey, I'll be happy when I get through training in 6 months.
Yep.
I want to be happy today. How can I be happy today? Here's your objectives. Hit these things. Don't hit these things, then you didn't win. You took a loss. You got to reevaluate what went wrong in our system, what went wrong in our process. Because that's how we keep evolving that way if we keep doing those metrics that you keep talking about. If you're doing 5x5 dumbbell flies as your accessory for 4 to 6 weeks, and you're doing them at 50 pounds each dumbbell, and it's 5x5, and you keep doing it again. Well, next week, what I'd say is you got to get at least one set where it's 5x6, or 2 sets, or maybe you do 55 pounds. You keep going until you plateau. If not, you're just doing the same thing. There's not enough stimulus for your body and your mind to evolve. So each week you have to push those accessories or whatever you're doing so that the next iteration of you keeps advancing so you can hit that target down the road. And the way you do that is you have your metrics and you got to win the day. So if it's your accessories or how much water you take in or whatever, that has to be the process to do those things.
And and you're speaking of soap, bro. I love the layers that you speak to. And here's a situation that happened to me. I said, when I come down a fast rope off of Black Hawk, hit the deck on a fucking aircraft carrier with an MP5, I will have been a man. As a SEAL with a trident on my chest. I did it. I was like, where's the fucking background music, bro?
Right.
It wasn't shit. I didn't feel a change, bro.
There's no Tom Cruise. What happened?
I didn't even have any. At the time, I had hair, but there was no fucking wind in my hair. You feel me?
Fireworks, no honey.
There was nothing, bro.
Nothing, right?
I didn't have women in bikini to come give me a check for something. I didn't fucking have shit, right? So, what happens? The goal is cool. The goal sets the trajectory.
That's it, though.
The process.
The system is what gets you there. Systems are for winners, not the goals.
That was a hard lesson for me.
Yeah.
I hit it, and there was nothing. And so we call it the Hell Week Blues. Because everybody wants to get through Hell Week. It's this big mystery. You get through Hell Week, you accomplish it, you're like, and then the week after that's called Walk Week. They wear tennis shoes now. Back then we wore jungle boots. That week you get to wear tennis shoes and you get to walk for a week because everywhere you go in Buds, you have to run. You can't walk. So for 1 week, just because you physically can't run anymore, you get to walk, and 80 to 90% of the guys are depressed. You see that a lot in championship players, championship fighters. They finally hit the mountaintop, and they didn't have anything beyond that.
Right. There's nothing to win the next day for them. So then what? So then their identity is broken.
Now, I got that kind of when I did my bodybuilding show. I was prepped for all these months and was super strict in my life, and my whole lifestyle revolved around what I did every day and what I ate and how I trained and all my processes. And then the day after the show, I'm just kind of standing there. It's just me. I'm just like, well, shit, now what? Like, do I just, I'm not talking to my coach about, well, we're getting ready for the next show. Like, what am I? It's just me. I'm just sitting there. So it's, I definitely understand that, post.
There's a science behind that. What Lucas is saying so brilliantly. The science is that, and I was doing a separate conversation with somebody, and I was like, what they didn't articulate is that the SEAL teams is a hormonal test. They're like, what do you mean? I ask people, like, what is a state? Like, you're at a funeral, you're in a sad state. You're at a party, you're in a happy state. I'm like, tell me what a state is. They're like, "Rrr." I'm like, it's hormones. It's basically hormones. And the hormones, neurohormones and hormones in your bloodstream affect the way you are engaging with your resources, right? So what happens is dopamine, as you start to pursue a goal, you get this dopaminergic or dopamine response, right? And it starts to build as you get closer and closer and closer. And then as soon as you get it, it peaks and then it drops.
Right.
That's the actual science. And now you're down. So you have to have another process to progress to, but there's good reason for that, because the universe goes from order to disorder. So if the person that survived wasn't the person that did something once, I built a house once, what's going to deteriorate? I ate a carrot one day, now I'm healthy. That doesn't work. You go to disorder. As soon as you quit working out, as soon as you quit doing the nutrition, everything goes from order to disorder. The only thing that's survivable, the only thing that keeps progressing is the thing that continues to progressively adapt in a positive direction. So the human that survived was the human that had a dopaminergic response that once it hit it, oh, I need another one. I need another one. But then you have to balance that out with serotonin. Dopamine says, I want more. Serotonin says, I've got enough. I give to you.
Yeah, hold on.
So what they're doing, you have individual drills, swim times, run times, course times, that test your endorphins. I have to have the ability to push past the wall, which is a whole science thing. I got to push past the wall. I got to be hungry enough, first of all. The dopamine saying I'm hungry enough to push past the wall. I've got enough endorphins to push past the wall. But then you can have a really good player that's really hungry, but he's not a team player. That doesn't work in football. That doesn't work in the SEAL teams. You have a great individual person that's not a team player. You can have a great team player, but he doesn't have enough drive. You got to have both. So now they test individual skill sets, and then they test team skill when you're under that log. Are you going to put out when you're weak as your partner? When your partner's weak, are you going to do extra work for him? That's how we make team plays. And so dopamine says, I want more. Give me more. Serotonin says, I have enough. I give to you. And the whole process of Hell Week and buds and all that stuff, we are looking for a highly driven, highly motivated, self-initiated individual that's also a team player. That is a unique individual. And this person, that's also a great football player.
Do you find they kind of evolve over that week? Because at first they're probably, shit, man, can I survive this? And then they start building a little confidence. Hey, I can handle this cold. I can handle this wet. This person next to me is struggling. All right, now that I know that I'm safe, now I'm going to see if I can get this other person with me. Can I get him straight? Do you find that kind of occurs or not so much? Or people just come in, they're already givers and looking to help? Or they got to take care of themselves first. Like if you're on a plane that's going down and the oxygen mask comes down, they say, hey, get yourself right first so you can breathe, so you can get your kid next to you right, you know?
Yeah.
So I got to wonder, does that occur with you guys? Is there evolution?
There's two sides to the coin there. That's a brilliant question, Jim. There's two sides to the coin. Are warriors born or are they made? It's a little bit of both, nature versus nurture.
Right.
And in the military, it's often called selection process. They're looking for people. We hire backwards. We go, are you the right person for the job? We test your character first. Then we give you the skill set. Most jobs hire the other way around. They go, hey, do you have the skill set? Yeah, we'll take you. And later you find out they're not a good fit for the team.
See, that's why I got Lucas. I tell the story all the time.
What's up?
Lucas, if you listen to some other shows, he worked underneath me and he kind of sucked ass. But then I'm calling him out. I'm trying to evolve him and help him mature. And he had these 2 internships, one at Purdue, one at Maryland on the football team, then at Illinois State. And where he had a whole bunch of humble pie, whole bunch of living in his car by himself, living on couch surfing.
Know about that.
So he just has that sisu, which is one of our core values. That word from Finland, where no matter what shit you're in at the bottom of your life, you don't quit. And Lucas has that. I don't quit. I'll just suffer and keep going. I'll just take one step forward. So when we put together this podcast, I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm doing with this thing. Lucas sure shit doesn't, right? But we're like, hey, we're gonna start this endeavor to reach more folks to get them better. Yeah. And my wife said, why'd you pick Lucas? I said, because he's not a fucking quitter. Man. And he's like, well, he doesn't. Man. We don't know what we're doing. He goes, everything's learnable. That part's easy. I got to find someone who's not a pussy. Right?
Come on, bro. So that's how the way you did it.
That's a whole way.
That's how the SEAL team hires.
That's a whole way. Whole way I got Lucas. I'm like, this is what I want. Straight up. That's the deal.
I think, bro, and shout out to Lucas. Shout out to your ability to discover them. We need more men like that. That's what Hell Week's about. One, like you said, it's discovery that you can do 10 times more than what you imagine. Sure. You've got governors on your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system that says stop. Well, that's back. That's also back before you had a refrigerator with food and coaches like yourselves that get the nutrition. Bro, you might, if you hunt too many times, you might not have any more energy and you might die. Your car does not say it's on E when it's actually on E. It says 300 miles before E, you're on E, or 30, 40 miles. You've got more gas, bro, but the governor's telling you that so that you don't actually run out. Back when there wasn't a refrigerator with food, but you've got more. You're safe. Push the limit. And you got to just push past that. Number two, hiring backwards. Brilliant on your end. That's how we do it in the teams. Is this person the right person? The rest of it, they've got to, so we have to test in a meritocratic environment, right? In a meritocratic environment, you need two things that's based on merit: competency and contribution. You have to have some level of competency to contribute.
Sure.
Right? But you have people that have competencies that aren't willing to contribute.
Yeah.
And you have people that are willing to contribute, but they have no competency. You need a little bit of both. And in a meritocratic environment, like you're saying, this guy had the grit. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
There's a third piece.
Yes, please.
It's capacity. So I had a coach with me, Chad Dockery. He was a great coach, but he also coached at the high school. Full time with football, and he was a teacher. Willing to work at my gym, very good at it. Didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So you gotta have the willingness, the capacity, and the competency as well, right? But the capacity is also a piece.
Well, and when I say competency, I'm including exactly what by competency, I mean the raw material, whether that's resources or time. So agreed, that's a great articulation.
There you go. Yeah, right.
So you have the raw material. So I look at guys. And I've got mine at my academy. Talked about we met, and also I want to give much love and shout out to you because you took it from a vision all the way to materialize, to finding great warriors such as Lucas, right? The right men for the job, great warriors on your side, lions to your side, man, all the way to where it is today. And here we are from vision. But I look at guys and I have it quantified, the actual quantification of what an A athlete looks like, a B athlete, a C athlete, and I can look at the raw material and like, hey, here's what we're working with, here's what we're not.
Right.
That's important. Do you have the capacity to create the competency? And I break that down. I call them the 4 A's of elite achievement. One is attitude. One is attendance. You got to show up to show out. You got to just be there first, right? Number 2 is attitude. Next is athletic ability. What is your level of coordination, strength, blah, 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 right?
Right.
And then the last one is aptitude, game IQ, right? That's what you're talking about, capacity. All those capacities enacted leads to a competency. And I call those drills that make skills. Those are the small attributes that you actually engage that actually give you the competencies. But you have to have the capacity. If you don't have the capacity,
doesn't matter.
Hey, we want to build this house. I got the blueprint. I got the tools. I don't have any raw material. I can't do anything. So exactly, bro.
So then one of those, if it's missing, that's then what we call the limiting factor. So if there's a limiting factor, you can't move forward. If you're a middle linebacker and you're strong, you're a great teammate, but you can't read defense, can't move forward. You might be able to read defense, but you're always leaving your teammate out to dry. Not a good teammate. Can't move forward. So you're always hunting for weaknesses. Another thing that we hear me say, hunt for weaknesses, because we bring those limiting factors up. Athlete has to improve. Co-worker has to improve. Your relationship with someone else has to improve. You bring that limiting factor up. You were in 4 years, right? 4 years?
Yep.
Deployed, right?
No, I did not actually. So I had a war zone on the home front.
Okay.
I had someone dying terminally. Somebody in my family was mentally off, and then somebody was literally handling my people physically. And they said, "Hey," they said, "You got a war at home." They're like, "Go home to hand." I literally, and that's when I had to start my business to handle everything to help home. So I got derailed and had to go handle that business.
So what year did you get out?
April 25th, 2003. I remember that day.
2003. And then started your gym was 08 or 10? 08?
Yep. I opened the LLC in 2008.
And then 2010 you have your current facility.
Like right? You and Lucas, I did not know. Same thing I said in the SEAL team. If I had known what I was getting myself into, I probably wouldn't have did the shit, bro.
Sure.
You ever had those days? Holy shit.
More days like that than other days.
But like you said about Lucas and yourself.
Just keep going.
I mean, like, you know what? Fuck this shit. And then I talk about that. We talked about the answer to why. You got to have that answer. When I was running over the berm, 20-foot berm, soft sand, bolts coming out of my hand.
Right.
My brain was like, you know what? Fuck it. Why are we doing this? This is fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. This sucks. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why in the fuck? And I was like, you know what? I fucking quit. I'm done. My body just kept moving, bro. Like Lucas. My shit just kept moving. I was like, hey, I'm out of here. This is fucking stupid.
Right.
And I'm like, why don't I just walk off? I wouldn't walk off. My why was too strong. My regrets were too strong. I physically couldn't carry the boat anymore. My legs couldn't go anymore.
Yeah.
I was homeless in my car like Lucas. There's if your why is strong enough, and here's the thing you asked in Hell Week, and I want to get back to your question. I just get so excited about your points. They're awesome points. Sometimes people are poor performers, not because they don't have the raw material, because they've never been around excellent leadership. They've never been around excellent warriors to their right and their left. Some people have the raw material. You got to have the capacity.
Right.
But they never got the opportunity. And that's the difference in our society between entitlement. Entitlement is people that they've had the opportunity, but they don't want to take the risk. They don't want the responsibility, but they want the reward.
The risk.
They don't want to be held accountable, but they want the authority. No, bro, you got to carry that weight.
Right.
If you give them that chance, if they were around excellent leaders such as yourself and Lucas with the raw material, then so I do think it's coachable. So you asked me, do you see people that are able to make, if they have the raw material? Yes.
Yeah.
If the raw material is there.
They have to choose. So I have people that come into my gym. There's kids are capable, and a lot of things have been given to them. They've worked for a lot of other things. The risk for them is when they fail, can they recover mentally? Because in their mind, they build up, oh, I made a mistake here. I look weak. No one likes me. Rejection. I won't be loved. I'll be abandoned. I'll be alone. I'll be alone. You know, like that baseline. This is why I don't want to fail. I don't want to look weak in front of friends or family. So they'll kind of put out. But if they don't all the way put out and they don't make it, oh, well, I could have. If I would have done that other shit, I'd have been there. I'd have been in the NFL, would have done those things. I said, like, it gives them an out, right? It gives them an out. And if I can, it's so, man, this is where there's no real more math involved. There's no more reps. If I have to be able to reach that kid and say, hey, just keep pushing forward, be uncomfortable, put yourself out there, take a little bit of risk. And when you fail, we're looking for all the failures so we can simply evolve faster. I need the data of how we win and lose so I can evolve you faster. If you're always just winning, then I'm probably don't have enough drag or resistance on you to evolve you fast enough. It's too easy. So then when it is real painful later on game day, in the moment, They don't have the reps, they don't have the confidence to perform, and they don't have the process to be able to endure it. Right? It's real, man. It's everything. And you ask about why, and bigger than yourself. Like, you probably don't know much. Like, this isn't my background. My background's finance and investments.
Oh, holy crap!
MBA,
Impressive.
JP Morgan, private wealth manager. Our team would manage $600 million in assets for people, trusts, stocks, mortgages, you name it. And I'm fat, and I'm playing. I'm real fat. I'm in my mid-30s, almost 300 pounds. Can't run a mile. Can't bench my body weight. Definitely can't squat it. And I'm playing football with my sons in the yard. I was fortunate that I trained my German Shepherd to fetch the ball, so that I wouldn't have to walk after it. So it would bring the ball to me. So I always wanted to be an athlete growing up and didn't have the resources. No one showed me, like you said. Like I would practice by myself, but parents were like, "Hey, we're not enrolling you in this sport until you're older. We don't feel like taking a practice." Or we were on food stamps and had the money, and blah blah blah. So I always wanted to, but never had that ability. And then by the time you're in high school, if you're not that good, you're not playing anything, right? So I take the math route. I'm good at this and that. Anyways, back to the football, playing catch with my son, and I go, "Hey, bud, what do you want to be when you grow up?" He's like, "Daddy, I want to be an athlete when I get big." And I go, I thought, yeah, so did I. And I thought about that, and I'm going through this problem at the bank, and we brought in a ton of money again and did great, but they're like, "Hey, it wasn't enough." So they're like, "Hey, we're getting rid of your team." And it all coincided, and I had a month or two off, and I was like going through this book on, what do you really want to do? And I'm like, I always want to be an athlete, be with athletes. I got to be able to change myself first, lead my family. My dad was sick at 58, dead at 62. He never saw my gym. He was just fat his whole life. He died 25 years younger than his parents with nothing, completely unhealthy. And I'm like, I'm showing my 3 kids the same pattern. And one said he wants to be an athlete. How am I going to lead him? Made all these different changes. Read and went to courses, got certified, started doing P90X and group training, then CrossFit, then did a weightlifting meet, a powerlifting meet, a triathlon, and a 5K, and a half marathon, and all this shit. So taking in all this experience. So when you come back to the why that's bigger than you, like I'm turning 50 this year, and I'm like, man, fuck, clock is ticking. Gotta go now. So can I help my kids? Because they're going to have their own kids. Can I help someone else's kid who, like me, wants to play at that level and I didn't? So if they win, then I win too. So my identity kind of wins, right? So I tie to them. So if I can keep reaching people to get them to endure a little bit longer, get behind the science, behind improvements, partner up with people that are really intelligent like you guys to have maybe things that I don't know, so I can bring them in to this show and then send it back out. That other than my family and Jesus, this is all I really give a shit about. This is it. There's no other, I'm changing careers. There's no other, hey, I'm going to go back to the financial world. It's all gas, no brakes, all the way to the end. Let's see if I can help some other people get better. Right. So that's why we have you on here today. So that's Can
I speak to that? And then I actually want to ask Lucas a question.
Yeah, please.
And that's you said, what do I do? What I specifically do, we set inspirational goals. You actually, like you said, it sounds like you hit a point of inspiration. That's this. That's this. Right? Next, we need to set result achieving processes.
Right.
The goal, that's cool. Trajectory, compass. Now that's not what gets me there.
No.
That's what points the gun. Now I got to do the process of pulling the right? Result achieving processes. Now we have to maximize resilience. So I help people set inspirational goals. Next, get result achieving processes. Next, and maximize resilience. When it gets hard, it will get hard. Your brain will ask you why. What the hell am I doing? What's the answer? Maximize resilience, and that leads to you being a peak performer under pressure.
Yes.
So, and it sounds like that whole process is so you found something where that happened within you. Is that kind of what you just, a fire was lit, or?
The fire was lit. Then I had to figure out how. Then I had to figure out, how does the mind kind of like work with your heart, and I'm moving forward. What is human nature? And then I went through, our episode 8 was on atomic habits, and how do you evolve your habits?
Love it.
And how do you break bad habits, right? So, all right, so what are the tendencies? So if I'm going to do these things, how do I make that happen? If I want to build someone's squat or their 40 time or their resiliency or their overall speed, what are the habits? Here's the math behind it. But human nature, what are the habits? What if a kid comes by himself? Okay, we can make some progress. If I can get 4 or 5 kids that are similar level and they're all pushing, with the team together, they can do better. If I can get them educated, then they're going to do better. If I can show them how to heal, they're going to do better. So there's all these components I'm trying to build these kids, and and adults, but these kids to maximize what they can do physically and emotionally on the field. Then honestly, that's all I really have fun doing.
I love it, man. Can I ask Lucas a question?
Oh yeah, fire away.
So Jim bragged about, and that's the first test as a SEAL. And you talked about, you got to choose. The SEAL program is a totally voluntary program. At any point, you can say, I don't want this. At any point, fuck this, it's too hard. Fuck this, it's uncomfortable. At any point, you can just check out. Because if you don't want to be there, we don't want people that don't want to be there in the toughest, most fucked up shit. You got to want to be there.
Right.
And that's crazy. But you talked about that. They have to choose. So my curiosity was, he talks about you somehow intuitively or make the choice to always choose progress incircumstantially. What do you think birthed that in you, Lucas?
Well, it's for me, basically got thrown in the fire. Didn't have an option, I guess. Growing up, I wasn't super rich. Family didn't have crazy amounts of money or anything. We always had what we needed, but things weren't lavish, So, always trying to, see a better future for myself. So whenever I got into certain situations where I was working towards my career and my future, I had pretty strong whys behind that. And through my internships, working with Jim and all that, and working at Purdue and working at Maryland, and when you get in those situations where it's you don't have options, so you don't get to negotiate with yourself. It's either show up and go to work, it's show up, figure it out. Whether it's you're sleeping in your car at night, that shit don't matter, because you only sleep. The only thing you got, you're working all day. So it's those hard times and those processes and those character shaping times. It's when you're in the fire, nothing else really matters. So I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you did. He said something brilliant. Not giving yourself a way out. They say you want to take the island, burn the ships.
Right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a way out, and that the Latin word decision literally means to cut off from. You cut off. And what I tell people, a contingency plan does not include quitting. It includes changing your process and keeping the same
goal,
trajectory and goal.
Right.
You can change the process. You don't fucking quit. That's the one thing you don't do. But some people think so my dad, quick story. He goes, "Hey son, I'm 19." He goes, "Hey son, what's your plan B?" Because everybody's concerned. So African Americans have a 2% chance of becoming a Navy SEAL.
I saw you
30%. What's that, brother?
You were number 32. Is that right?
I'm number 32, and Goggins is 36, I believe, in the world, in the history of man. Yeah.
Small number.
Some weird black dude that doesn't mind swimming. That's a weird dude. But anyway,
right.
So my dad says
he's sinking real fast.
He is, bro. I just run on the bottom real quick.
Right.
I'll meet y'all over there. So a regular person, most people have a 70% chance. As an African American, 2% chance. I had a 0% chance. The Navy told me it was impossible. My dad looks at me knowing all this. He goes, son, just trying to take consideration for my well-being. What's your plan B if this doesn't work out? I'm 19. I turned and we were in the truck, just sitting, chilling, talking like, fortunately, I had a man that talked to me the way we're talking. More of this needs to happen, bro. You're doing something brilliant and excellent for all men. I look at my dad. He goes, what's your plan B if this doesn't happen? I got my arm up here. I look at my dad at 19. I say, Dad, if you have a plan B for some shit like this, you've already fucking failed. And he quit fucking talking to me.
Right.
About a fucking plan B.
Right.
I don't have a plan B, bro. I have a contingency. I'll change this. I'll change that. It's only one direction. I'm going to get there. I'm going to fucking find a way. I'm going to burn the ships. I don't have room to negotiate. Quit negotiating with me. Because the United States doesn't negotiate with terrorists, baby.
That's when people really fuck up. They'll say, hey, I want to be this healthier version of me, just an average Joe. I want to be this healthier version. When you say and you make that decision, there aren't many more decisions to make other than tactical ones. Or kids will come in and say, hey, I want to be a D1 soccer player. Okay. But most of your decisions on the weekend are now over. You don't need to make them anymore. There's not staying out late. There's not being hydrated. There's not eating enough protein. There's not doing enough recovery work. There's not enough getting your hamstring stronger, right? All those decisions are gone because you made this big one. Like you decide to be a priest. All these other things go away, right? Right? You decide to be a SEAL. All these other things go away, right?
All the things go away.
Right. So when you make these big decisions, there aren't more to make other than the tactical ones on how do you get there.
The processes, yep.
They keep thinking though, well, today I could do this. I'm going to decide today. Well,
nope.
No. I can be out till 4. That's fine. I'll be tired tomorrow. The next day I'll could no.
No.
No. That ain't it. I had a question with the jiu-jitsu Muay Thai. You ever fight MMA or anything like that?
MMA I did not. But I was often Chris Lights Out. I trained and was the partners about at least 4 guys that went through the house and was on the UFC show.
Okay.
And when Chris Lights Out Lytle was fighting, I was constantly his training partner all the time. I did a lot of MMA. And everybody was like, you need to do MMA. And I'm like, it was just something I did. I actually did a lot of it with a lot of guys that went to the show. I've done a lot of MMA with guys that were on the UFC, the big show.
Where do you guys lift? Because a lot of times people that are really good with calisthenics and body weight are missing some raw strength capabilities.
Bro. Yeah, I like picking shit up and putting shit down.
Okay.
I love it. So
I wondered about that. Just wondering.
Yeah, bro. Come on, man.
All right.
So here's a take on it too. I was always, when I was doing jiu-jitsu, I was the smallest guy in the room because I was also doing Muay Thai, which are very lean. I was maybe 165 pounds to be at fight weight, right? Maybe my natural body weight's 175, but fight weight, So I was walking around, and brother, the smallest guy in the room at that time was 290, and then it went up.
Dang.
So I had to get strong to compensate, to calibrate, right?
Right.
So I do powerlifting to build the ligament strength.
Right.
And then I also do dynamic strength.
Sure, speed work.
And power endurance strength.
Yep.
And I have that laid out where I like the hybrid of the ability to be as strong as possible, to have a great amount of endurance as possible, and blend those integrally. So that's what I prefer.
People don't even realize that there's an amount of endurance involved in powerlifting. So if you're doing a max effort deadlift, let's say your max is 600.
Yep.
That doesn't happen in 1 to 2 seconds.
That's not a snatch. That's a long pull.
That's a long pull, right? You're 5.
That's a lot of misery, bro.
6, 7, 8 seconds. Your body has to hold that position and continually move it. So in any sport, all 3 of those components are going to have to be there. The endurance piece, the speed piece, and the absolute strength piece.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon for you? In 2024, next few years.
Like like we had kind of alluded to, I would like to have a greater international impact for my mission, which we talked about, to get people to set inspirational goals, to make those result achieving processes, maximize resilience, and create peak performance. I want to do that with what I call elite achievement coaching. Mm-hmm. So people do motivational speeches. I say bullshit. I'm not here to give you motivation. I do elite achievement, process-oriented coaching. When I speak to you, I want results now, starting now.
Right.
So I'd like to do that through elite achievement coaching. I just happen to do those mediums, and I want to do them more internationally through elite achievement coaching, speaking, through martial arts, and through teaching tactically internationally combatives and firearms. And that said, then I want to take that income and find a way to like a guy like you, be financially intelligent, grow it, rinse and repeat.
Yep. Once you
larger
have
footprint.
Once you have more resources, more money, you then have leverage to scale, open more gyms, do more seminars, right? Hire other, train other coaches, then more impact, make more of an impact with more people, more businesses, more revenue comes in, more resources, scale again.
Yes, sir.
Same as you and me. I think we should probably look to collaborate here this year.
Bro, I'm hyped. Lucas talked about he's hyped. You guys hyped me up. Shit. I didn't know you're on the financial side, bro. I'm with that. I'm with all that smoke.
That part.
I'm gonna show. Look, when we get off this call, I'm gonna show you. I'm at 3 a.m. waking people up. Like, hey, so at 10 years, I'm gonna be here financially, and then I can do this and make this investment, and I can scale. 3 a.m. I'm running numbers, compound calculator. I didn't know that was your world. It's not my world, but I'm over here trying to figure it out.
That part was the easy part for me, but I had done it for 15 plus years, so everything that you guys are in right now with the strength and conditioning, I've only done that 10 years. So I'm just a baby. Anybody you like to listen to or read? Because as you see, like behind me, that's just there's probably 800 books, 900 books in my basement.
Oh man!
As much as I read, my wife reads 5 times more. But man, anybody you read or listen to that you thought you find helpful? For
that book that you suggested, I love Atomic Habits.
Me too.
Change your identity, and that's what I was talking about the GPS.
Mm-hmm.
I am it. Who are you?
Yeah.
Change your identity, and everything else starts to follow. And then the processes that come into place with changing your identity. I love that, man. That's so powerful. And because I ask people, do you know how many times you breathe? What's your core temperature right now? How many times did you blink? How many times did you bring the fork to? I don't know. 90% of your life is automated. It's subconscious.
Right.
So you're not going to make a change until you can make a subconscious change, which happens at the identity level.
That's right.
That book is badass, bro. It talks about processes, not goals, man.
All the time.
So I love that.
What do you listen to when you train?
You know what? I don't have a single song. I'll tell you what style of music I listen to.
Yeah.
Whatever the mood is, and I drive people crazy. Like I was driving across Texas. I was going from SEAL training to jump school in Fort Benning, Georgia at the time, way back then. And Texas has nothing, bro. I mean, you look around, it's just flatlands. Back then, there was no internet. And I had one song on repeat the whole time. Whatever song puts me in what I like to call almost like a theta state vibe, where I'm stuck in this total maximum, what's hyped. What do I want to say? Peak resource state. It puts me in that state. If that's hitting, I put on repeat.
Man,
I just vibe and keep rocking it, bro.
What's with you
until it don't work?
You and Goggins, he's doing the pull-ups to one song for 24 hours, man.
Oh, he does that, bro. I didn't know that shit.
There's that scene in Rocky 1. It's not gonna fly now when they're doing the training montage. That's not it. It's late in the fight. And the song starts off with the ringing of the bell, the ringside bell. That song that starts off, right?
Yeah.
He loved that song. It's like 2.5 minutes, 24 hours of it doing pull-ups. I like that song too. I like that song too a lot. 24 hours. I probably never want to hear it again. Right? I love this part. Bucket list adventure. I'm just going to read it.
I call it a fuck it list, but that's okay.
The Tom Cruise shit, but with Kenny Killaby twist. drive a motorcycle off a damn mountain, transition midair to fly in a wingsuit, deploy a parachute from the wingsuit, cut away from the chute into the water, dive a dragger to a submarine to blow some shit up, and then dive, then rendezvous with the sub.
I forgot one part.
Okay.
Then we come out of the water and have a cerveza on the beach.
Right? So all the ladies are on the beach, all the food sitting right there, all the drinks, all the big parties come in on the beach. You pull up, you're driving the sub by yourself. And you just you just park it right there, you beach it right there, and then get out.
Yeah, we just fucking run shot that motherfucker on the sand.
Right.
There's two missing elements from that story, though.
Okay, what part?
Jim and fucking Lucas.
All right, let's go.
Let's go, baby.
I don't think
that's the best. That's the best answer I think so far. That's amazing.
Hey man, I've really been saying that to my guys. I'm like, hey bro, I just want to do an action scene where I fucking drive a motorcycle off, parachute. Bro, I've been saying that since before they did it, Mission Impossible. I've been saying that when we were in the teams in 2000. Oh. I want to do that. Then I enter the water, die. I've been saying that. One time on the bucket list, not the bucket list.
Oh. Real quick.
Hey, do you know why I say that, Jim?
Why tell me?
One day I looked at my friend. I said, "Man, do you know the number one thing said in the military?" He goes, "No, I don't." And I go, "It's fuck it." He said, "What do you mean?" I go, "Bro, when you're scared for your life, and you're about literally, we jumped out of a plane, and I saw." We swim where the great whites breed. I looked down there and the water was transparent. I saw a gang like minnows, sharks.
Nope.
So Bill Brown, he calls me one day.
I'm looking for the exit sign in the theater right now. I see sharks down there. I'm looking over here.
Bro, this is a true fucking...
Keep going. keep going.
Check it out. Bill calls me one day. I'm about to do the swim on the Hudson, and Bill Brown, the guy I told you that's also in Goggins' book,
right? Yeah,
I call him. He's a Jersey guy. He's from New Jersey. He talks just like the boss, a Godfather boss from Jersey. I call him. My mom calls me first. Kenny, you're not doing the swim, right? Not doing that. I'm like, Ma, don't worry. There's sharks everywhere. There's sharks. I said, Ma, it's normal, Ma. We swim where the great whites they breed. No problem, Ma. It's true. So I hang up the phone. I Google it. All the beaches in New York are shut the fuck down.
Because?
There were 6 great white sightings. Every time we swim, a great white shows up. We're like, oh, yeah, whatever, bro. But this time there were 6 bull shark sightings. I said, okay, let me call Brown. Hello. I go, Brown, what's up? Yo, what's good, Biggs? Straight my boss. I say, bro, hey, man, quietly as kept, man. You know about these motherfucking bull sharks, bro? He goes, yeah. I say, hey, bro, well, do you have a, he goes, I said, you know about all these sharks? He goes, yeah. I go, but bull sharks, bro? He goes, yeah. He's like, I think I saw one on the test swim. The guy's got to understand that there's shit that lurks in the deep when you swim in salt water. That's what he says to me. I go, okay. I go, but bro, bull sharks. He goes, yeah. He ain't giving me nothing. I go, well, do you have a contingency plan if somebody gets bit? He goes, that's a good idea. I said, Brown, you are one crazy motherfucker. He goes, hey, Biggs, let me tell you something. I said, what? He goes, you's a crazy motherfucker too. I go, why? He said, you knows this bull sharks and your ass is still coming. And I sure did do that motherfucking swim that year.
How long was that
for
swim?
The homies. I was going to die for the homie if I had to. I ain't doing it again. I told him that's my last motherfucking time, though. Black man, bull sharks, water. What the fuck?
Yeah, you're a sinker.
Man, come on, man.
Right?
I'm the anchor. You just got to be faster than me. What's the joke? I don't have to be faster than a bear. I can be fast. Come on, bro. So, but the most used phrase is fuck it.
Because we're doing it anyways.
You're scared for your life, and you decide to go anyway. I want to quit, and you subconsciously you go, fuck it. Bull sharks, fuck it. This rope could break. Parachute might not work. Fuck it. And then my guy said, have you ever noticed? He goes, you're right. You say it. You just say, fuck it. You don't negotiate with yourself. You just say, fuck it. You don't leave any room. You just go.
You already decided years ago when you enlisted, bro.
Yes, sir.
That's it. You know, I jumped out of a plane twice, and each time was a tandem jump. I don't know what the hell I was doing. No experience or background or training. And the second time I'm getting ready to go, and I swear it was safer to jump out of the plane because the plane sucked. But this guy, the crew would take up the jumpers, and they all come down, and then they would take the next group of people that are signed up to go. And the guy that's going to be jumping with me, he's coming towards our hangar, and he's holding this cord in his hand, just maybe this long, you know, like 2 feet. And I was like, "What is that?" And he goes, "Well, that was the first shoot. I pulled it and it ripped, and you know, didn't work." I go, "Okay, don't worry, I'll give you 2." So he pulled that auxiliary and it deployed, and he came down with his other person. So I'm getting
brother.
ready.
You're saying this is on the way down?
No, so he jumped and he pulled.
That guy.
He pulled the cord and nothing came out, ripped off. He had to pull the second cord, parachute deployed, and then he's good to go. He comes,
yes, sir.
Come all the way down. He's carrying the first cord in his hand, and he's my guy. I'm gonna be tied to him, right?
Oh,
and I'm like,
I see what's happening.
And I was like, oh man, shit breaks like that, you know, like what?
Yeah, it does, bro.
So sure enough, we went up, and when we jumped, and it deployed, thank God, and I came down just fine.
Subconsciously, you said, "Fuck it." Oh. When you saw that cord, you went up anyway, my man.
It was man, that free fall for a minute. It's so exciting. It's terrifying. It is. It's terrifying. And then once that chute deploys, it pulls on your body, you know, and it's a big jerk. And then now we're just kind of floating in this circle all the way down to this target. And it's just so peaceful and quiet. And man, that was beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, I just say that seems like the worst. Is when you're going slow and you're just looking.
You're still moving pretty fast. You know, you're not going, 120, 140 like you were, but you're still moving and all. But it's like, oh man, you're kind of enjoying the ride at that point, right?
I'm absolutely terrified of heights. So
check it out. It's something interesting. Your brain psychologically, you're too high to count. Your brain can't relevantly judge the distance. You're not scared of heights up there. Now you get about 100 feet off the ground, and you start to see the trees, and the relevance of your brain actually starts. So the O course at the SEAL teams is about 40 to 50 feet. And right around that range, your brain can calibrate and go, I could fall and get hurt, because it can relevantly gauge everything. When you're that high, you don't really have a fear of heights. So check it. My friend, you said, it's crazy. You don't feel the fall like that. You're not scared of heights up there. And my friend every day was afraid. He's a SEAL. He's afraid to fucking jump out of planes. And he had to be breathing in one of those bags. And every day he would read me his will. He'd say, hey, man, the car goes to my wife, and this gun goes, but you can have my gear. And I'd say, hey, listen, man. And then next day you go up, listen, man. I said, I know the car goes to the wife, and I can have your gear, and this goes to your kids. And I go, listen, man, why are you scared of jumping out of the plane? I was like, that's not what kills you. It's when you fucking hit the ground. So don't be scared to. And he looked at me. I was like, fuck, that was bad advice, man. But it was true. So it actually doesn't play out. I don't know. Did you experience that, Jim? The fear of heights doesn't play out quite like that.
That was weird, because in a different instance, this is actually in the financial world. Our team did this ropes leadership course out in the Santa Cruz Mountains in California. And this one obstacle was called a giant's ladder. So the ladder itself was all these rungs, and we're in with these redwoods and sequoia trees, which are 200 and 300 feet high. After a while, the rung of the ladder would get further and further away. So instead of being like a 12-inch rung in between, now it's 3 feet, 4 feet. You go up the next rung, it's 5 feet, 5.5, and that you have a harness on, and they belay you up and down. But you go up with another teammate, right? So at the end, it's 7-foot rungs in between. So I would put my knee out. He would stand on my knee. He was stronger. He would grab up. I would push him, and he'd do a pull up, get himself up and over. He'd grab my arm, pull me up. I swing my leg around, get up to the next rung. So all I'm doing is focusing on where he is, or grabbing his hand, or he's grabbing my hand, or where my foot goes. So now just what is my next task? And it's so basic. Like, all right, swing right foot around. All right, hold on, squeeze your ass and get up. Right. So it gets broken down to that next small, tiny little task. and everything's going fine, right? We get to the top. I'm about 250 feet up in these redwoods, and I'm looking at the top of these trees, and I see some blue sky, and I see the leaves because only the leaves are at the top. And then I look down, and I see the shit, and I was like, I'm not, I don't say anything. I'm just like, right?
I know that feeling, bro.
I can't get anything out. So then my leg just starts shaking. I'm not doing anything. Legs are shaking. And I'm like, I turn to him like, hey, so what's the process for getting down here? He goes, you just lean back, and since we're tethered on that belay, they're just going to belay you down. I'm like, oh man, okay, all right. So I go back to just looking at the rope. I'm holding onto this or that line, and nothing happens. So I come down, everything is good. It wasn't until I had my focus on how high I was and what could happen. Like when I was focusing on the task. Okay, next task. Okay, next task. I can put my hand there. I can do a pull up. I can do that. I'll do a pull up. Right. So that was it. Whenever I changed my focus, I was fucked. Like shaking, could not move. What's a favorite sports movie? I'm sure you got plenty.
I like because I'm always watching fucking action, explosions and stuff. But sports movie, the one that actually comes to mind is Rudy. Because I like a fucking underdog. That shows my age, but Rudy, the underdog, the guy they told him was impossible, he couldn't do it, and he said, fuck your couch, and he did it.
So the one that's barely in the theaters, it didn't pick up any traction because most people aren't into this shit, but I just watched it last night. The Boys in the Boat. Eight-man crew team from University of Washington, 1936, based on a true story.
Yep.
The Boys in the Boat. Watched it last night. You want to talk about underdog?
Yeah.
No bigger story.
Movie.
Yeah. No bigger story than what they had to go through. And it came down to no other options. So poor, no other options. And it was just them doing it for that unit.
Yes, sir.
So that unit of those 8-man crew team plus the coxswain who's guiding them, so 9 people plus the coach, it came down to it's the unit, it's our whole team together.
Come on, man.
And it was beyond them, right?
Yep.
And you want to see a whole team of nothing come together and win. It was absolutely inspiring.
Can I mention something to that?
Yeah, far away.
That's how the SEAL teams is designed. It's literally you. So Goggins, the reason why Goggins started running was because of Danny Dietz and the 4 guys at Marcus Luttrell.
Right.
That
Lone Survivor.
Mark Wahlberg played in Lone Survivor.
Yep.
Danny Dietz was my roommate when we went through buds at first. I was his swim buddy, which means we were always no more than 6 feet from each other. We got injured, and we were roommates. We got separated. Then I ended up with David Goggins as a result of that. And then he heard them dying. So then David Goggins just Googled the 10 hardest things to do in the world to raise money for those guys. Dang. And that being said, it's literally those circumstances. The SEAL teams is built off the premise of that movie. It's literally you. The rest of America is not there, bro. It's just you and your warriors to your right and your left, and nobody's coming to save you. You your patch. There's no American patches on you. You're out here, right? Nobody's coming to save you, bro. So now we don't say, "Are you in the SEAL teams? Are you a Navy SEAL?" We say, "Are you a team guy? Are you on the teams?"
Right.
It's not about. So we say there's no I in team. It's not about but you spoke to something before, the raw material. We also say great individual skills make great team skills. You have to be a strong individual. You have to have the raw material, but you use that raw material of your individual independence for great interdependence. It's about your team.
Sure.
It's not about you at all, or we don't survive. We don't make it. It's impossible.
There's 2 clips in that film that I use when I do some motivational speaking, or not motivational, but like directional speaking. And it's when they ask, what's our next move? And Mark Wahlberg, he's Michael Murphy.
Yeah.
He says, fall back. And they said, you mean fall off? And they have to roll down this cliff.
Yeah.
Right. Right there, and that was all they simply said was Roger that. That's why I respond mostly with Roger that in my texts and emails.
I saw that in the text. I wanted to ask you about that.
And so between that and David Goggins saying all the time, I just liked it. It spoke to me personally. And I point out to these kids, I say the decision was made 4 years ago to go in the Navy, to go through basic, to go through A school, to go through BUDS, to go through then the next 6 months with your team, to then deploy, then go through all these missions, to then be in this moment. And the leader, the lieutenant, was Murphy. He says, "Hey, it's off. We're jumping off this cliff," and they're all like, "Roger that," and they just go.
Yep.
Right. There's no hesitation. This is what's next. This is what's next. The next breath. So that's one of the pieces I absolutely love. I see that your favorite sport, martial arts, and that makes sense. Yeah. And the favorite book, the story we are writing right now with our lives. I love that too. Favorite superhero, Snake Eyes. That's a G.I. Joe thing, right?
That was That was one of my nicknames in the teams that was awarded to me.
All right.
For several obvious reasons. I was the only black guy, and Snake Eyes is
Yep.
I have my plaque when I got out of the SEAL team says, "Where's Bigbee?" That was the constant question. Where's Bigbee? I'd be the only black. I'd be in the room. I'm like, I'm the only black guy.
Right.
How did you look over me? Right. But I also didn't speak much. I was quiet.
Sure.
And I just moved around real low key. So I got the nickname Snake Eyes because I was obviously black. I didn't speak much.
Sure.
And they'd always, literally, my plaque, when I left the team, SEAL Team 1, said, "Where's Bigbee?" Like a ninja. So I got the name Snake Eyes. So that's why it's my favorite. It was awarded to me. I like how he does, but he's all business, doesn't say much. I like that.
Favorite villain, Darth Vader. How come?
All business, doesn't say much.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
Let's do it. Don't talk about it, be about it, baby.
Favorite lift?
Man, I'm torn. Now I'm really torn. But I'll tell you what, deadlift is one of my better lifts, but I like the pain of squats. I like the pain. You know, I can put that little pad on the bar. Bro, I have always liked when that bar digs in. Bro, that motivates me. I like that. You know, like with those dogs, they pull bro, when you put that on my back, it lights something. Lifting makes everything else disappear. When you get put under a lot of pressure, you're totally present. And I'm so ADD, I'm processing a million things at once. When I put heavy iron on my back and it's digging into the world fucking disappears, baby. And I like that pain, bro. I like it. If people hate leg day in the teams, check it out. Funny story, you guys will love this. It's all the way wrong, but I did this. We were out training at an island in the desert, and we couldn't go back to base. We were there for a month. Every day, we would train from 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. Every day when I got done, I did squats. For a month.
At the end.
Doing squats over.
Man, bro. From 5 a.m., we woke up. We would train, got to clean the guns, do everything. 12 midnight, we got done. I would go in the gym and squat. I'm ass to grass every single day. They just called me legs at the compound. I was like it, bro.
We hosted a strongman comp yesterday, and my youngest is Sam, and he was helping out. And, day's over, it's nighttime, it's after dinner. He's getting ready to leave. I go, "Are you going out with your friends?" He goes, "No, I'm going to the gym." I go, "I know you trained like 4 or 5 days already this week." He goes, "Yeah, I just need to work some things out." I go, "Okay." So he goes and lifts and comes back, and later I go, "Hey, you good?" And he's like, "You know what's great about the gym?" I said, "Yes." He goes, Well, he goes, "I got all these things going on." He's a senior in high school, is going to be graduating, going off to Purdue, and different things going on, different dynamics in his life right now. Like, when I lift, I just think about the lift, and I don't have to think about what's going on over here or over there. I can just focus on moving the weight, and it calms me down. And I said, well, there's a whole bunch of reasons why that happens neurologically. I don't tell you. You just need to know that that's true and that's a real thing, and you just keep doing that, buddy. So at a young age, it's like, hey, this helps calm me down.
Man.
The Churchill quote, "Success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm."
Yes, sir. Like Lucas over there, baby.
Right.
He's built like that.
Failure to failure, baby.
Oh, you can't stop me. You literally got to kill me, baby.
All in or not at all. So
yes, sir.
Kenny, thank you so much. So much for I've been looking forward to this day. And
you and me both.
The 2 hours went by quick. I'm looking forward to when you get back so we can meet up and hang out. Where can people find you online, social media, websites? Where can they find you?
First, I want to say, again, huge honor for me to be here with you, Jim. Thanks for having me here. Wouldn't happen without you, Lucas. You guys are the best. I had the blast. Bro, I'm out here in the Dominican. This is the most fun I had yet. Fuck all this shit. I can't wait to get back to 30 degrees, fucking freezing to hang with you motherfuckers. You can reach me at Kenny Bigbee, Bigbee, like a big bumblebee, KennyBigbeeJr.com. Just go there, and then we'll take it from there. The sky's the limit.
Okay.
Got to kill us, baby. We ain't quit.
All right. When are you coming back?
I will be in the air on Tuesday. I'll be back in business Wednesday.
Cool.
Locally.
Also, for any listeners, do you have questions for Lucas or me? Thoughts on training or nutrition, mindset? info@athlete-builder.com. Send us an email, info@athlete-builder.com. Send us your questions. We want to help you. So do that, and we'll answer them as quickly as we can, or we'll answer them on air as well. Kenny, thank you so much. Lucas had a good time with you guys. Just really enjoyed it. It was a true gift today, and it's one of the ones I'm going to treasure. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Look forward to it, fellas, when I get back stateside.
All right.
Appreciate it, Kenny.
Rock.